are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Where's your team every day? This is the daily podcast. We talk about all the Major League Baseball. I'm your host. If you're watching on YouTube, you look at it. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan, but I'm begging you to call me Sully. Today's episode is being dropped on the 25th day of September, 2021. It is a rare Saturday drop. I promised you I was going to do 5 this week, and I have quite a treat for you today because we're going to be talking about the state of the rivalry as the two teams that, dominate the discussion because the fan bases are insufferable, but also a lot of times they're playing interesting baseball. It's Red Sox, Yankees, but I'm not doing this solo. No, we're bringing in the fabulous host of Locked On Yankees, Stacey Gotsulias, who will be talking about the state of the rivalry and this weird, and might I say weird season and weekend series. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the Friday game, moving forward, and everything else. The show is available on the free and, might I say, easy-to-use Odyssey app. And this is also brought to you in part by Spotify Green Room. Download the app and find one of our Locked On rooms, which often include Stacey Gotsulias of Locked On Yankees. And you can follow us on Twitter at Locked On MLB Pods. Same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. As you see here, my Twitter handle is Sully Baseball, and I'm Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Well, do you know what? I've wasted too much of your time. There's so much to talk about when it comes to Yankees, when it comes to the Red Sox, and when it comes to this weekend series where sometimes it gets hyped. Like, oh, it's the rivalry. And it's like, is it really? Yeah, this time it is, because the wild card is razor thin, wafer thin, and next thing you know, both the Yankees and the Red Sox have a chance to be in it or be out of it. And it would behoove both of them to beat each other, and it would behoove me to bring in Stacey Gotsulias right now, the host of Locked On Yankees. Hello, Stacey Gotsulias.
Hello, Sully. How are you?
I must say one thing about Stacey Gotsulias: fantastic writer, and you have a terrific podcast, Locked On Yankees, and I enjoy listening to it. Even when the Yankees win, I enjoy listening to it. And I'm a big fan of everything you do. And for those of you who enjoy me on the Locked On Podcast Network, you have Stacey Gotsulias to blame because you are the one who introduced me to the good folks at Locked On, and I would not be part of the Locked On Podcast Network if not for you. So thank you very much, my friend.
That's true.
And Stacey and I are not just fans of each other. Well, actually, I'm very presumptuous that you're a fan of my work as a podcaster, but we have been on each other's podcast, not just the Locked On, but we have been on, you were on my Bull Durham podcast. I was on one of your podcasts where we talked for about an hour and a half about the movie Xanadu, which, if I'm not mistaken, is about an hour and a half long movie. So we just basically talked the running time about a Gene Kelly, Olivia Newton-John, ELO roller skating musical produced by Cocaine, and is basically a string of incredible music videos with a wafer thin plot. So go. What was that? What was the name of that podcast? That was No Duh. That was No Duh. That's what I thought. I was going to say the No Duh, but then I was like, wait, was that the one? All right. Well, so go listen to us yap about that because it was a lot of fun. But right now we're going to yap about the Red Sox, the Yankees. It's been a weird year for both of the teams that we grew up watching, and the first things first, we talk about the game and everything like that, but I want to have an overall question for you because your show has been a roller coaster ride to listen to. And I can't imagine you're a real Yankee fan. You're a Yankee fan who understands the names Bobby Meacham and Mike Pagliarulo. You understand, you were there in the 80s when it was lean and there weren't necessarily great teams to root for. has to be one of the strangest Yankee years of all time because there is no middle ground. They have either looked unbeatable or look like a minor league squad. And all you have to know about this Yankee team is that they had a 13-game winning streak from August 4th to August 27th. And then a week later, they went on a 7-game losing streak. I don't understand this team at all. Stacey Gotsulias, who, like me, has been seen on HBO, please, please, please walk us through what this year has been like for Yankee fandom.
Well, I'll tell you right now, watching Friday night's game, Chad Green comes in the ninth inning. It's a 5-run lead. And my first thought was the game in Houston when Chad Green came into a game and it was a 5-run lead in the bottom of the ninth. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh God, please don't let that happen again. Because this season, not even just the long streaks, but the way they've lost games, it's just mind-boggling to me. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a bad season because they have the chance to make the playoffs. They have the chance to win at least 90 games, maybe more if they go on a run now, and they're on a bit of a run right now, because they're very hot and cold, and right now they're getting into the hot thing, so we'll see what happens. It's just been not at all what I expected at all, like, not at all. I expected it to be rough in the beginning, and then for things to, like, I compared it before the season even began with the way the rotation was and the question marks and everything else. And I assumed it was going to be similar to 2007, where they had a really rough start, didn't kick things in until the All-Star break and after. And it kind of followed that narrative a bit. And then you had the 13-game winning streak, and I literally patted myself on the back on my show because I was like, "See, I told you it's going to be like 2007." And then September happens.
Yeah.
What are they, 10 and 11 right now?
Yeah.
The first half of September was a nightmare for them, and as I said, they're picking it up now. And if they can pick it up and run with it, Giancarlo Stanton said after the game that something about it being a roller coaster ride and they need to start a new one. I said, no more roller coaster rides. We need this to be like the Wedway People Mover. Okay. Just very smooth and nice. No more roller coasters because I can't take it anymore. I just can't.
The previous week, they won the series against Baltimore and against Texas. And while some of the games were a hell of a lot closer than they should have been, this is the type of year where it's binary. It doesn't matter if they won 13-0, 13-12, 1-0. Doesn't matter. It's just wins and losses. There's no style points. You can't pick and choose. There's no moral victories. There's no ugly wins. It's just victories. And so, yes, they won. They lost, I guess, that one game to Baltimore, but they won the rest of the games. And I think, and as you said on your show, as well, they should have.
Right.
And especially after the horrible weekend they had against Cleveland, where they won the first game pretty handily, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was 8-0.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then got the doors blown off the next two games.
Mm-hmm.
And then Baltimore played them tough, but the Yankees wound up winning the games. You have to win the games you're supposed to win. I mean, it's imperative to win because they lost the series to Baltimore earlier in the month.
Right.
I mean, it is funny that I picked the Yankees to win the division. The main reason I picked at the start of the year, it wasn't because I think this was the greatest team since 1998. It was because I looked at the rest of the division, and I didn't think Tampa Bay had enough. I thought they had lost Snell, Morton. I didn't think they had the depth in the rotation. Little did I know is they have it's like the when Mickey chopped up the broomsticks in Fantasia and just they created more broomsticks. That's the Rays pitching staff. Is as you get rid of one and more of them, the broomsticks just keep walking into Tropicana. There have been so many points during this year where I thought to myself, well, this is it. The Yankees are going to be a sub 500 team this year. And every time I think that, they go on a winning streak. But every time they go on a winning streak, at some point in the winning streak, there's a really ugly loss, like the one you mentioned in against Houston, or the Field of Dreams game, or there's always just that one weird one.
Yeah, but the Field
And
of Dreams game was the last loss before the 13-game
that's
winning
right.
streak. That
Yeah.
set it off. Yeah.
But in that series, they were on the verge of losing again. Like the White Sox, if I remember correctly, there was an extra inning game. They hit like a game tying hit or something in the ninth. It was crazy, and there has been so many of those losses that the Yankees have had, and yet here they are. They're probably going to win 90 games, and it's the 24th. Is what, 8 games left, and they're up 2 games for a playoff spot right now. Yeah, we know on Sunday, when you wake up on Sunday, the Yankees are going to be a playoff team. So no matter what happens, no matter how badly they lose to the Red Sox today, he said, staring up to the sky. All right, look, okay, here's a philosophical question I want to ask you, because I was thinking about this as someone, New Englander, grew up with the Red Sox and everything like that. And there have been sometimes a couple of playoff teams that just kind of, you look back and go like, oh yeah, they made the playoffs. Like 2009 is one for the Red Sox. I know 2009 was a much better year in the Bronx than it was in Boston. But I think back on like, do I remember anything that happened that year? I mean, they had a couple of hits, and they got swept by the Angels, and geez, I don't really, there's nothing about that year that sticks out. And then there's some years where I'm like, wow, I can't believe that team made the playoffs. Of all the teams, that's 2017 for me. Is like, I cannot believe that team that could not hit somehow made it to the postseason. But even in all those years, there's one little kernel, one little game that I remember. So far, I know the season's not over yet, and who knows, it may end with a walk-off home run by Giancarlo, which means you post that picture of him naked being splashed by water. But follow Stacey Gotts on Twitter. Let me put that one up there. Follow Stacey on Twitter at Stacey Gotts if you want to see that meme. But what is the game, the positive game? I know the Angels lost, the Mets lost, but there's all these losses. What's the positive game for this Yankees team that you remember? Because I have an entry, but I'm wondering what your entry would be.
I don't even know. I really don't. I just remember the bad ones. I don't remember the good ones right now, because the bad ones are so bad that they're stuck in my brain. And then, like they'll win and I'll be like, whew, I can't even think. I honestly can't even think of one.
It's funny. One of the ones I thought of was actually just before one of their worst losses. Like the next day was a horrible loss, but there was that game that Garrett Cole kind of insisted
the complete game against Houston. Yeah.
Houston.
Yep. That was a good one. Yes.
That one opened my eyes, even as someone who was, an unabashed Yankee hater. I remember thinking, man, that shows he really wanted the ball. And there was something kind of poetic about him demanding to be on the mound at a key moment. And it was in Houston, the very place where he was not brought in Game 7 of the 2019 World Series, where for reasons that philosophers, poets, and scientists and sociologists for years will try to figure out, remind me why they didn't use the best pitcher in baseball during Game 7 of the World Series in a close game. Why did they bring in? I mean, I pitched a third of an inning that game before Garrett Cole did, and there was something kind of, perfect about that. That was an impressive moment for me, at least, whatever my opinion is worth on this.
Thank you for reminding me of that, because not that I forgot, but like I said, the losses are burned into my brain more than the wins, which is sad when you think about it, because as you said, they'll probably get at least 90 wins. And if they can win as many games as they can in the next 8, they'll make the playoffs. And, considering how streaky they were and all of those losses, not that it's a miracle, but I just laugh when people talk about, like someone was saying, oh, this is the worst Yankee season I've seen in, X amount of years. And I'm like,
no.
No, and they were someone close to our age, even older than us, and I'm like, no.
No,
No, not even
Lee
close.
Lee Gitterman was their best pitcher in 1990, I think. Wasn't that the
Yeah,
case?
yeah,
Well,
yeah. I
I
was
think
thinking 90 and 91.
yeah, my first years living in New York,
Yeah.
and I was a student at NYU, and there was college discount tickets. And those days, when you went up to Yankee Stadium, there was plenty of room to put your feet up in the chair in front of you, put your jacket next to you, put your Coke and your hot dog next to you there. And there was a lot of room at Yankee Stadium
Well,
to see
I can say
Steve
this now.
Sachs. Yeah.
Yeah, I can say this now because, Steinbrenner's not alive anymore. My dad was friends with all the cops outside of Yankee Stadium, and when he didn't have tickets, they would just walk him in and then say to the ushers, "Yeah, he's fine." And my dad would just sit, and we did that once as a family. I'm like, "Are we gonna get in trouble?" He's like, "Nah, don't worry about it." And we sat in right field. Just
Um,
like, "Okay, great."
buy a hot dog. Buy a hot
Yeah,
dog. Everyone's fine.
yeah.
But but these days, I mean, look at I know you and I are both trying to get in shape. You're doing the Peloton thing. I'm doing the big weightlifting thing, and I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to do the right thing, get some energy. And you, what I like to have instead? Built Bar. Look at that, everyone. This is I got. I don't want to brag, but they send these to me in the mail. Okay, this one is what the hell is this one? This is the real cookie dough. It's real cookie dough.
So good.
And zero guilt. Now, I know you're a big Built Bar fan. Now, we can always run down all the flavors. You got your coconut, cherry barcia, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, German chocolate, and my personal favorite, which is raspberry. That's my favorite one, is the raspberry covered chocolate. Which one's your favorite one, Stacey Gotsulias?
Mint brownie.
Oh, that is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yep.
gets a medal. That's on the medal podium for me. That gets the mint brownie flag gets raised. But to me,
Yeah.
right in the Sully Built Bar Olympics, raspberry gets the gold one. By the way, in case you're wondering, Built Bar is the official protein bar of the U.S. Track and field team, which I think is pretty cool. But do you know what, Stacey Gotsulias? Here's one thing that I bet you don't know, because you love your Built Bars, but you think oh man, but they're so good. I have so much guilt. Well, it says right here on the label, zero guilt. And do you know why? I bet you don't know why. I bet you do know why, because you've been reading these as often as I have. They're good for you. 70 to 18 grams of protein. Calories range from 130 to 180. 4 or 5 grams of sugar. 4 or 5 grams net carbs. Amazing flavors. All tasty. All healthy. Hey, do you get the grasshopper cookie?
Yes.
Ah, it's a good one.
That was a good one too.
Hey, Stacey Gotsulias, why don't you read where people can get them Built Bars?
You can go to built.com. It's very easy. And actually, even if you accidentally do builtbar.com, it'll automatically direct you to built.com, because I've screwed that up a couple times during the live read, so I apologize.
And guess what? If you go to lockedonmlb.com, it'll take you to me, and I'll say, hey, I think you want a Built Bar. And then I'll just push you right over to built.com, because that's how much I love my Built Bars. Built Bars are the best tasting protein bars ever. Built Bar, a better way to have a protein bar. I guess I'm just creating an end thing there. Hey, but enough of this, okay? Because I got to say, we got a good internet situation here, all right? We got a good internet situation. It's not slow. Because slow is right if you're on vacation, if you're a sloth, or if you're describing QuickBooks. More like slow books. Am I right, Stacey Gotsulias?
Oh, you're right, Sully.
Oh, man. It's that kind of wit that you expect here on Locked On MLB. It sucks you in and slows you down your manual process, integration difficulties, and glitchy delays that leave you scrambling for the numbers you need. I have to scratch my eyebrow. It just upsets me so much. Now is the time to make the switch to where?
NetSuite by Oracle.
That's the number one financial system. I used to use the number two, but I now use the number one financial system, because NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and you know what? Even more than we can fit here. It's everything you need to grow all in one place. With NetSuite, you can automate your processes and close your books in no time, no matter how big your business grows. Failing to switch to NetSuite will leave you stuck trying to make sense of your books while competitors sprint ahead. 93% of surveyed businesses increased their visibility and control since switching to NetSuite? And is there an offer that people need to know?
Yes, right now, special financing is back. NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program only for those ready to switch today. Head to netsuite.com/lockedon right now. Get special financing at netsuite.com/lockedon. Once more, netsuite.com/lockedon.
Yeah, look at now we've hawked enough NetSuites, we've hawked enough built bars. We're here with Stacey Gotsulias, host of Locked On Yankees. Now let's talk a little bit about tonight. The Yankees defeated the UCLA varsity baseball team. I just glanced at the TV. I didn't see who was playing. Look at I'm our dear mutual friend Javi Reyes, the host of Locked On Padres, got on me for complaining about the uniforms. I don't mind that the Red Sox wore those weird sort of, what was that? Was that the Venezuelan national team? It looked like a polo outfit that Prince Charles would wear on an episode of The Crown. It was this weird sort of powder blue white. It had to do with the marathon or the city uniform. Fine, great.
Yeah.
Great. And you know what? If they wore them for that time, hey, that's kind of cool. It's kind of special. There you go. That's fine. Break them out once or twice more. Okay. I don't want them in heavy rotation. I don't. You know, we do root for laundry. We do want to see, if I want to see the Red Sox beat the Yankees, which, spoiler alert, I do, I'd like them to look like the Red Sox beating the Yankees. You know, I don't want to see this weird, UCLA looking team out there. You know, the Yankees had the good sense to show up looking like the Yankees, and there was a costume party. And so now I hope Chris Sale busts out the old scissors, gets rid of those darn things, because they were on a winning streak with them, so they're going to keep wearing them. Well, it's over. They got their butts handed to them.
See, the Yankees helped you out. Now you're not going to see them.
There you go. That's fantastic. I'm really surprised. I have to say, this was they helped me out for another thing too, which was a lot of times I'm pulling back the curtain on my personal life. A lot of times on Fridays, especially since the pandemic started, we have a bunch of my family, both sides of my family, cousins, other people will get together on Friday night. We have a pizza night. We all talk about our week and we all stay in touch. And if the Red Sox and Yankees were playing a razor thin game, I would be tempted to have one eyeball on the game while my kids are talking about the essay they just wrote in their social studies class. Well, guess what? When I saw it was 6-0, by the time I picked up the pizza in downtown South Pasadena, I thought, well, guess what? I can be a decent dad today.
Yeah, I was surprised. Well, I was surprised when I saw it was 3-0 because they have trouble with Evaldi. So
Yeah,
I was expecting that sort of thing. I was expecting it to be a close game for most of the game, and I was kind of surprised that the closest the Red Sox got after the Yankees had gotten it to 7 was 7-3. Yeah, it didn't play out the way I thought it would. I'm happy with the result, obviously, because the Yankees, their last 9 games are 3 against Boston, 3 against Toronto. All 6 of those are on the road, and then 3 against the Rays. So it's a pretty tough schedule for the Yankees, and they need to win as many games as possible. And this was a good start for them. Plus, everyone got a hit, at least one hit. Glaber's doing better. Someone put up a stat earlier, since some point in July, he's hitting 305. And since they moved him to second and he's not focused on, because I feel like he's better at second. Shortstop is too much pressure for him. I like Gio at shortstop. Gio can pretty much play anywhere in the field, and it's loosening the load for Glaber, and now he can relax at the plate, and that seems to be happening. So we'll see. Tomorrow should be interesting with Pivetta and today, if you're watching this today, sorry, we're recording this Friday night. Pivetta against Cortez Jr., so that should be an interesting matchup. But I'm surprised it's not a Fox game. It's a 4:00 game. It's not a 7:00 game. I'm glad though.
I'm glad too.
because I don't want to hear John Smoltz's mouth. So I'm actually very relieved that it's not a Fox game.
Well, John Smoltz is just really angry about everything about
Everything,
baseball. Yeah,
everything. I don't understand how he won a sports Emmy. It drives me up the wall. I've spoken
okay.
about this on my show, but I can't. I cannot. Baseball is so concerned with people not wanting to watch. Games are too long. Stuff is wrong with the sport, but they have John Smoltz on there complaining about everything about the sport. You're not going to bring more people to the game if your main broadcast on Fox is complaining about the game. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like I've equated before. It's like, imagine if you're going to see, like, one of the Marvel movies like Black Panther or the Avengers, and there's a guy yelling in the back the whole time going, Raiders of the Lost Ark was better. None of these films are good.
Right.
You're dumb. Everything is about how bad everything is now. It's like, you would think you would have the person who is the spokesperson for the sport to actually like it. Like, if there was a show where they break down the works of Billy Joel, and especially songs like Uptown Girl, or In the Middle of the Night. I hate Billy Joel. I would be a terrible person to be the commentator on that show,
I don't hate Billy
because
Joel, but I hate River of Dreams.
of
It's one of the worst
course you
songs ever made.
of course you don't hate Billy Joel. You're from New York. That's why when I
Oh,
went to
that's yeah.
when I went to NYU, everyone had their, I finally listened to Piano Man. Oh, geez, just please, just I was listening to Talking Heads, but that's a different thing altogether, different podcast altogether, which I think we should probably do after we record this one.
Mhm.
But you, that's like, have someone who loves the sport talk. I mean, Jason Benetti of the White Sox is an unbelievably great announcer
Mhm.
who's young, he's funny, he's informative, he loves the game. Sean McDonough of the Red Sox, who used to do it, he called the Joe Carter home run for CBS. He great set of pipes, really funny, but has a great sense of drama. Have someone who brings a sense of enthusiasm. Stacey Gotsulias, why not? I'd have you on there. But have someone who is clearly, I don't know, likes it.
Right. Right. Yeah. I talked about this with David Cohn on my show, and
Yeah.
I
Have
didn't.
David Cohn.
Yeah.
David Cohn is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's great. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to mean to cut you off, but
No. It's
I would
fine.
love that.
Yeah. No. He's just so great, and he loves talking about the sport, and he knows it's evolved, and he understands why it's evolving and how it changes, and how in 10 years it's not going to be the same as it is now, and it might even be more like it was, or who knows. I mean, you never know how baseball's going to change. And he's just so enthusiastic about things, and Smoltz is just such a drag, and it's
It's like, look at, like, this is a thing I said to my kids because they love talking to their uncle, my brother Ted, and they complain about movies. They'll just talk about, and look at, I love trashing movies too, but I also like talking about films I like. And sometimes the films I like are films that people trash, like Xanadu or The Jazz Singer with Neil Diamond,
Mhm.
of which I know is I can prove in a court of law it's a bad movie. However, I will watch it whenever it's on.
Mhm.
Might I bring up the fact that I've seen Dune by David Lynch beginning 10, maybe 10 times, knowing full well that it is a mess. But I have an enthusiasm and a love for it. And I would love to have someone who has an enthusiasm and a love for it. And my kids will talk about, be on the phone with my brother and talk about, oh, they hated this movie, hated that movie. And I said, well, can you talk about a movie you like that's good? Because at some point you're like, how much can we talk about things are bad? It's interesting. Or maybe interesting is the wrong word, but I'm doing my research and I'm writing this book and I've written yet another chapter of it, this book about the 1972 postseason, which I would argue was the greatest postseason of all time in terms of drama, in terms of social relevance, in terms of the cast of characters, in terms of how colorful it was, how weird the characters were, and everything. And that means I'm reading a lot of contemporary articles and how many people are complaining about the state of baseball, and how you have these people like Reggie Jackson, and you have these people who just don't respect the game and don't do this and they don't do that. It's not the way it used to be, and baseball will never recover. And I was born the year that this took place. And
Mhm.
then you go back and you read articles in the 1950s and say baseball is not the way it used to be, and da 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 da. And I've brought this up before, but I'm bringing it up again. I listened to a fascinating interview with Lou Gehrig after he did his luckiest man in face of the earth speech, um, which, by the way, shout out to the late Norm Macdonald, who gave one of the most underrated Saturday Night Live performances as Lou Gehrig doing the speech. And when they applaud, said, "I'm being sarcastic." Anyway, too soon, too soon. But Lou Gehrig gave an interview on WMCA in 1939, the same, just like days after that speech, under the, I guess, with the caveat that he would not talk about his disease. He only wanted to talk about baseball. And in it, he was saying, someone asked him, "What do you think about baseball now as compared to when you're coming up?" And he said, "The players today are pampered. It's not the way it was when I was. The players don't have to work for it as hard." And he's talking about the generation of Bob Feller was too pampered. Ted Williams was too pampered. Joe
Joe
DiMaggio
DiMaggio.
was
Yep.
too pampered. Hank Greenberg. These are the players who are too pampered.
Mhm.
And the fact that someone like, that, I mean, I bet we can look up stuff and people complaining about Babe Ruth ruining the game. You could find it. I bet right up until the point where Alexander Cartwright could say, "Do you know what? Baseball was better yesterday. That game we played yesterday is never going to be the same." So, whining about the state of baseball has been happening since they first started playing baseball.
Mhm.
So knock it off.
Right. But it's I don't know, I feel like it's different in articles because I guess you can, like, use quotes from people and stuff, but when you're just hearing it incessantly
Yeah.
during a broadcast, it's like, that's not helping grow the sport, You're gonna make kids not wanna play sports or not wanna play baseball, they'll wanna play something else because, the NBA's changed a lot. It's not the
Yeah.
same as it was 20
No,
years ago, but you don't hear the
no,
broadcasters constantly complaining about how
no,
different it is. No, they're
no.
calling the games as they happen and getting excited about dunks and getting excited about plays that are happening, and they're not sitting there going, "Oh, so much better when I played."
Yeah, I mean, you could, they're not wringing their hands over a bat flip or whether or not someone was happy that they hit a walk-off homer. You
Ugh.
know, I mean, come
That
on.
could be a whole other episode.
Yeah, that's all of a sudden we're doing a Ken Burns like episode here.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's just drives me crazy. The narrator is someone complaining about the game, and people will take to the game that they grew up on, and they'll always turn to something that it really wasn't quite exactly what they were saying. I remember someone in my family who was of a previous generation was seeing that uh, a catcher was not catching every day. I forget what the situation was. There was a catcher who was only catching like 3 or 4 games that week. And they asked me, he said, "Paulie," because they didn't call me Sully. And Paulie, how was it that Roy Campanella caught 154 games a year in and year out, every single year, and these catchers can't? And I quickly went to Baseball Reference and I said, I can tell you why. It's not the answer you're going to expect, but I can tell you why Roy Campanella caught 154 games year in and year out. Do you know why? He didn't.
Right.
He caught 150 games once in his career. Most of the time, he would catch about 110 to 120 games a year and sit 30 some odd games.
I mean, it would be impossible for someone to catch that many games. I mean, no matter how good shape you're in, there's no way.
And they weren't in that good shape then.
Right, and back then, yeah, it wasn't the same as it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
where
just like,
guys are training all year round and, actually training, not waiting till spring training to train.
yeah, you didn't see on the back of their baseball cards now in the off season he works in a paper mill. Like,
Right,
no, in the off season he counts his money and works out
right.
and has a Built Bar, which, by the way, Built Bars are the best states in. Oh, we did that, Reed. But yeah, that drove me crazy because here's what I vow, because look at the Locked On Podcast Network is doing quite well. And in 25, 30 years, Stacey and I will be in the retirement home and still doing Locked On Red Sox. Or what the hell is my show again? I'm doing
You're
Locked
not
On
locked
MLB.
on Red Sox.
I'm
You're
not
locked
Locked
on
on
MLB.
No. Okay, no. Lauren is doing Locked On Red Sox. And listen to Locked On, because Lauren is great. It's not Gabrielle anymore. Gabrielle's moved on. We love you, Gabrielle. But you'll still be doing Locked On Yankees. I'll be doing Locked On MLB. They'll just be, the MLB will finally put their expansion franchise into Rome. And I promise you, in 2046, when we're still doing our Locked On shows, which I guess isn't that far away, I won't be whining about the state of baseball or saying things like, how was it that Jason Varitek used to catch 200 games a year and never complain a day? And you're like, yeah, that's right. And Derek Jeter never made an error. Not once. Not one error.
I would never say that.
I know you wouldn't, because you enjoy facts. You enjoy facts. You enjoy living in the world of reality. And let me just tell you something. It is the safest bet in the world that you and I will be old people talk about baseball. We'll be loving. That's a safe bet. And if you're going to make bets, go to BetOnline, which is the #1 spot for all pro, college, football, whatever kind of football. Everyone but me is interested in football right now. Everyone but me has their eyes on the gridiron. That's why I'm doing Locked On MLB, so I can tell you what happened in baseball while you were watching your little football games. Then let me tell you something. They've got a new updated site and interface. More odds, props, contests. BetOnline.ag continues to be the #1 source for everything football. We have a lot of #1s in our ad reads this week, but that's why. It's the #1. Head to the website. Use the mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use promo code NFL100. From football, baseball, basketball, I'm guessing hockey, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, your online sportsbook expert. Now, Stacey, you and I, we watch a lot of stuff. We watch way too many shows. We watch way too many sports. We watch way too many things. I have in front of me right now, I have one, I'm not kidding, 1, 2, 3, 4 devices in front of me. I'm not even in my living room. 5, there's one over there, just to watch stuff. You got one, you watch the game. One, you watch your favorite shows. I got my my friends login to watch some of the other stuff. Do you know what? It's madness, Stacey. That's madness. There's a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle. And a great way to get your TV together. Can you guess what it's called?
I can. Can I say?
Sure, why not?
It's called Direct TV Stream.
Bingo! What it does? What do you think it does?
I would say that it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place.
Not like this. Look at all my devices I have just here. Keep going. Yeah, I think you have more to say.
That means no more juggling remotes, no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract.
What?
Yeah. So
All
get
right.
rid of the clutter and the confusion, so you don't have to think of all these different logins that you need, and get your TV together with Direct TV Stream. You can learn more about Direct TV Stream at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device is required for this, and the content varies by package.
By the way, I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 emails. 6 emails. I need a Direct TV Stream for my emails. And I'm trying to, and I have to, someone said, don't write your passwords down. I said, I have to. Otherwise, I love it when I write a password. That one's too easy. It's like, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, they want you to use like 16 spaces, and you have to use different, like it's getting to the point where they're going to ask you to use emojis.
Oh, yeah. Everything looks like Andy Capp swearing. You
Yeah.
know, it's just sort of like, all this, like, hashtag that, Oh, quick question before we're here. And if you hear, you please follow Stacy on Twitter at Stacey Gotsulias, just because I'm doing a little survey. What is your mother's maiden name and the street you grew up on, and your dog's name when you were growing up, and just the last 4 years social. Just it's just for
Yeah.
this little fun game. Anytime you
Besides,
see that, anytime you see that on Facebook, they're like, "Hey, what's your favorite?" Like, it's always trying to, like, "Hey, what was your mother's maiden name?" It's like they're
right.
trying to get your safety info here. So, oh man. So, we are right now. Hold on, we've been recording this. We've been on here for, I think we're going into hour 4 here in the telethon. Please call in. Call in. Phones are still open. Oh, the Angels tied them. Oh, the Mariners are winning. The Mariners, this is not a drill. The Mariners are winning in the 9th inning. So if they win, and boy, the Blue Jays, who just a week ago looked like they were going to, I had Jen Smith on, wonderful Toronto writer, and I think the only question I asked her was, will the Blue Jays repeat as World Series champions in 2022? And they've now fallen. And, look at 2 games is not a lot, but 2 games is a lot when you've got fewer than 10 games to play.
Right. Well, especially against Minnesota. Minnesota's not good. They're
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. I mean, this is not to get all airplane on you, but you picked the wrong week to go on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah.
And bless the Mariners, they're on the verge of going on a 6-game winning streak.
A lot of streaks going on in
I know,
baseball. The Cardinals are on an insane streak because Cardinals devil magic is back.
You know what? They're going to beat the Dodgers in the wild card game.
Oh,
You
yes.
know it's going to happen. The
Mhm.
Dodgers are going to finish with about 102, 103 wins. The Cardinals will have been a wild card team for an hour and a half.
Right. They'll
Most
be
of
like
the year.
15 games behind them, and they'll still beat them.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Think about, if if they got away with divisions, if they said, okay, top 3 teams in 4 and 5 play a play-in game. We have the same number of teams, but if a team doesn't make it from the East, guess what? No team makes it from the East. You should have played
Right.
better.
Right.
Mets. You should have put together a better team. But the way, like right now, like if it was the American League, like the 3 teams that would be automatically in would be the Rays, as of this recording, the Rays, the Astros, and the Red Sox, your 3 favorite teams. And then you would have a 1-game playoff right now would be between the Yankees and the White Sox, who have an identical record at this point. Right now, the White Sox have clinched. They can rest all their players. They know who they're going to play. They're going to play Houston. They can just line everything up.
Yeah, have fun with that.
They have a full week of that. And the Yankees are scrambling for their life, and they have identical records. That's bananas.
Well, Jason Burke of Locked On A's brought this up in our crossover
Mhm.
because I was talking about the whole Yankees Twins thing and how it's just unbelievable to me that, 20 years now we're going on the Yankees beating up the Twins, and not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs.
In the playoffs.
And he said to me, yeah, but the Twins always beat up on an AL Central that wasn't that strong. And then once they got to the playoffs and played a team like the Yankees, they were kind of exposed for not being as good as everyone thought they were. Not that they were a bad team, but
No.
just that they spent most of the time beating up on really bad teams. And he thinks the same thing's going to happen to the White Sox. And if you look at the White Sox, they can't beat good teams. They'll
Yeah.
occasionally do it, but they don't have a good record against good teams. So if they're going to be against the Astros in a division series, they're in trouble. And it's kind of insane when you think about it, because the White Sox are a good team and they have good players. And it's not like, they have good pitching, they have good hitters. And it's kind of strange. I mean, would I love for them to upset the Astros? Yes, but that's not happening. I'm almost willing to bet my hair that won't happen, but I won't.
Please don't. We don't want you to look like the girl from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And I'm not going to pretend that I don't know that her name was Ilea in the film. But yes, Sully can be a Star Trek nerd. But yeah, I think the White Sox are a team that it's funny. Like, I dislike the Astros, and Astros Twitter hates your pal Sully.
Yeah, they don't really like me either.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
well.
our love for Xanadu and our hatred from Astros fans are our unifying connective tissue there.
Yeah.
There's so many players on the White Sox that I love and I think are fun to watch. I just like watching Abreu. I think he's fun. I like watching Eloy Jimenez. I like watching Tim Anderson. I like watching these players. They're fun. My favorite podcast is Never Not Funny. The host is Jimmy Pardo, who's a out of his mind crazed White Sox fan throughout the first pitch in a game recently. And it would be fun to hear that podcast with the White Sox moving on the postseason. I hate Tony La Russa with the passion of 1,000 suns. He's one of my least favorite people in baseball. And having him be someone to manage a World Series team in 5 different decades would just kind of make me throw up in my mouth a little bit. How do I say this without getting more trouble? I have issues with the Astros. I may not have. You don't have issues. You have a subscription. But
I have a legit beef, though.
Oh, I know you do.
You know?
I know you do.
I mean,
I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do.
Yeah.
3 straight years the Yankees were eliminated by cheaters. And yeah, I'll include the 2018 Red Sox with that. Notice how fair I am, Astros fans. Notice how I admit that. But I love Dusty Baker. I think Dusty Baker is great. Granted, he had
but that's funny because you like the White Sox as the team, you don't like their manager, you don't like the Astros as a team, even though some of the guys aren't there anymore, but still, it's just the laundry
uniform.
and
the uniform,
yeah. But you like the manager, yeah.
If they could Voltron, if they could Freaky Friday their managers, I'd be man. Johnny Baker, Dusty, will never get the credit he deserves. That he took teams in the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s to the postseason. Yeah, he sometimes inherited a good team, but sometimes he didn't.
Right.
Giants were on the verge of moving to Florida. The Cubs stunk. The Reds were irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
And he took all them to the postseason. And, he inherited a good Nationals team. He inherited a good Astros team. But he inherited a Nationals team that just had Jonathan Papelbon trying to strangle Bryce Harper when Matt Williams was the manager and was sound asleep in the dugout. He inherited the Astros, who I'm going to go out on a limb here, was going through a little bit of a public relations issue and kept them focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the fan in the world, basically, hold on, was there something weird happen with our connection there?
Yes.
All right, something weird happened. I'm going to plow through because if not, we still had enough for a podcast.
Yeah.
But he'll never get the credit he deserves.
Yeah.
And if he wins a World Series, we have to talk about him as a potential Hall of Fame manager.
Please don't. I'm just
not
saying
with the Astros. Not with the Astros.
Not with the Astros, please. Universe, thank you.
All right, let me tell you what I have to say about that. Because your team has a really good chance of making the wild card. And if they make the wild card, I have no clue. It's a 1 game. Who knows? It's a coin toss. And they're so weird this year. Who the hell knows how they'll do in the postseason? I'll just say it. Right now, I would be stunned if a team not called the Tampa Bay Rays was in the World Series from the American League. They just seem better. They just seem more complete. They seem like they have fewer holes. And every time they've had challenges from Boston, from Toronto, from the Yankees, they've met them. And they have 94 outstanding pitchers on their 40-man roster. I don't get it. They do it. And I think the Trop is going to be the host of the World Series. I'm not saying that I necessarily want that to be the case. I don't see another team beating them. Except maybe the Yankees, because that would make Locked On Yankees a lot of fun to listen to. Do you want? I'm going to make my prediction.
Oh, no. Yes.
I predict a parade down the Canyon of Heroes. I predict number 99 will etch his name. Yankees Pantheon. We'll start to say maybe it's time to remove number 5 from Monument Park because Judge is just better than DiMaggio. And I think that Aaron Boone, the greatest Yankee manager since Joe McCarthy, will lead them to the first of many in this, the new dynasty. That's my prediction. Yankees run the table, win the wild card, sweep Tampa Bay, sweep the Astros in a point where the Astros start to cry and confess and apologize and hand the American League pennant. So officially the Yankees won the American League pennant in 2017 and 2019. And then they defeat the Dodgers in 3 because the Dodgers are so humiliated in the first 3 games. They said, we don't want to come out. We forfeit. And that's what's going to happen. Yankees all the way. That's my official pick.
I know you were being sarcastic about Aaron Judge, but he is having a good year.
The only thing keeping him from the MVP, I think, is the fact that his name is not Shohei Ohtani or his dad's not Vladimir Guerrero. But I think he's at this point, I would say he's number 3.
Yeah. That's how good a year he's having. And let's not even mention the fact that both him and Stanton have the chance to play possibly 140 together this year, which is unheard of.
I'll tell you one more. Cole may win the Cy Young Award.
I think Robbie Ray will get it.
Yeah, you're probably right. But I was going to say the fact that he won the head-to-head matchup against the UCLA Red Sox today. I am not going to let that go. I think that's a feather in his cap. I'll tell you a feather in our cap is they said, let's do a quick podcast. We've been on for nearly an hour. And
it's nearly 1:15 a.m. where I live. Sully's on the West Coast. I'm here in New York. So if you saw my nostrils flaring this entire time, it's me suppressing a yawn because I didn't want to be, I didn't want to be on screen yawning because that's rude. But I'm exhausted, man.
Well, you need a little blast of energy. You need a Built Bar.
I do need a Built Bar, and I have them in my fridge, so I might get one.
Yeah. Hey, are you watching the games tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah, because like I said, it's not a Fox game, so I can actually watch it because I avoid Fox games. Or if I do watch Fox games, I'll play music and mute it so I don't have to listen to Smoltz.
Are you going to be betting on
it? I don't bet. I'm not a betting person.
But part of it is it's a guessing game, right? But betting on baseball doesn't have to be a guessing game if you listen to the new Locked On Bets podcast hosted by your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling. Get daily picks, blowout specials, wrong team favorite picks, and Lee Sterling's lock of the day. Follow the Locked On Bets podcast brought to you by BetOnline.ag, wherever you got podcasts. I stumbled over that last part. Ooh, I felt so good right up until I almost stuck the landing. It was like a little gymnastics moment. Then I stutter step right there. Folks, it's the 25th day of September. It's almost the 26th day. That's how long we've been doing this podcast. I'm here with Stacey Gotsulias, the host of Locked On Yankees. We're halfway through the show. Stacey, tell us about life. What do you think? Meaningful, meaningless? Are we in a universe that loves us? Stacey Gotsulias, where can people follow you on Twitter, on Twitch? What AOL chat rooms are you in? Are you doing?
I'm actually on Twitch, but I'm afraid of Twitch, so I don't really go on there. But yeah, I'm actually there.
I don't really know what Twitch is, quite frankly. But the fact of the matter is, you host a fantastic podcast, of which one of the many reasons why I love the podcast. Not only I think you do great recaps, but you do great walking down memory lane sections where you recap thing and you really go through the memories, not just of what happened in the game, but what was happening with you. You were watching the game, which is part of the fun of baseball. So I love your show, and tell people what the name of the show is and where they can hear it.
My show is called Locked On Yankees, and you can find it on your favorite podcasting app. We're basically on everything, but Odyssey is free, so you can use Odyssey or Apple, Google, Stitcher, all that good stuff. And you can find me on Twitter at Stace Gotts because my full name is too long for it. So yeah,
Mm.
I figured I'd make it easy for people. And yeah, that's it. That's where you can find me.
Yep. And you can find me on all those places, eerily similar places you can listen to this podcast. We're also on YouTube. Stacey's on YouTube even more than I am. And you can follow us at Locked On MLB Pod. Same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter. Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Burning the midnight oil and talking about the rivalry, which is actually pretty good right now. This has been Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Stacey Gotsulias. What can people call me?
Sully.
Yeah, that's just what that caption says. What caption? That one right there. This is a professional organization. And I am going to go to bed.